Bible study. Today we're going to be discussing Matthew chapter 16 and 17. I do have one question before we start the chapter just to answer for you guys. And so that question is, during this study, I will be quoting the book of Revelations. So what is that book about? The book of Revelations is it's the last book of the Bible. That is written by John, one of Jesus' disciples, when he was exiled to the island of Patmos. That's where he received messages and revelations from Jesus. Some of those messages were to send to the churches, and some of those revelations were about the end times and the end of the world. And so he writes down everything just as he is told, and that is the book of Revelations. So let's go ahead and get into the discussion of Matthew chapter 16. Matthew chapter 16 verses 1 through 4, we see that the religious leaders want another sign. Jesus knows their heart and knows no matter what sign that he would give them, that they would make up an excuse for why he did that miracle. They wouldn't truly believe him no matter what he would do. For this reason, Jesus told them that they're not going to get a sign. The disciples also forgot to bring bread, and Jesus said, "Take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees." The disciples took this literally and was talking about how they forgot bread. Jesus reminds them of him feeding 5,000 and the feeding of the 4,000. Jesus supplies all of our needs. He reminds them to be aware of the false accusations and what is taught by the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Jesus came into a new area, and he talked with his disciples. He said, "Who do men say that I am?" They answered, said, "Some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah or Jeremiah." All these men were prophets, so that's who people viewed Jesus as. Then he asked, "Who do you think that I am?" And Simon Peter answered, "You are the Christ, Son of the living God." And Jesus rewards Simon Peter for his firm faith, and he changed his name to Peter, and that was considered a great honor. Jesus also knows when his timing is perfect. So it's not the right time to tell everybody that he is the Christ or God. So we kept that quiet for just a little bit. And then continuing on, Jesus predicts his death and resurrection, and let's talk about taking up the cross to follow him. So Jesus starts preparing his disciples that he is going to suffer and be killed. He tells them that he will rise on the third day. Peter did not like that Jesus said this, and he said, "No, that's not going to happen." Of course, the disciples didn't want to hear that Jesus was going to suffer and be killed, but they were also blinded from Jesus' words when he said that he would rise on the third day. I don't think they fully understood the why that this was going to happen. Jesus rebuked Peter because he wasn't listening to what Jesus was saying. Peter was trying to make this not happen, which would be what Satan would have wanted. Satan didn't want Jesus to die on the cross because the everlasting door to life that Jesus opened for us wouldn't be the same. Jesus said unto his disciples, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." So let's talk about this verse. When we choose to follow Jesus, we must deny ourselves. This means that we can't do what we want to do all the time. Jesus has a plan for us. For example, a man who is called to preach does not want to preach. He denies himself of his own wants and desires and preaches, for he is called to do so. Another example is maybe an idea is in your head to help others and you want to start a ministry, but you are shy, or you would know it would take up some of your time. You take that leap of faith and start talking to someone in the church about it. This person, although shy and uncomfortable, knows it will take up some of their time, but follows what Jesus wants of them. And then my last example is, let's say someone loves a sin or has an addiction. Addiction is like a disease, but to overcome it, you must cut people off who lead you into that sin. For example, diabetes is a disease. If the doctor told you to stop eating sugar and to start exercising to fight off the disease, that you might be able to correct it, would you? The same is true with addiction. You must cut off things that lead you to that sin, like stop buying alcohol or going places that has alcohol, etc. You may love that sin, but you must deny yourself and fight and pray to overcome it. Luke chapter 1 verse 37 says, "For with God nothing shall be impossible." Sometimes following Jesus is a burden that we must carry. Okay, so that finishes Matthew chapter 16. So let's talk about Matthew chapter 17, the transfiguration. 6 days later, Jesus takes Peter, James, and John into a high mountain. The transfiguration happened before them. Transfiguration refers to Jesus in all of his glory. What this means is that they see Jesus transformed from a man to his divine presence of God. And they give us detail about what this looks like. His face was bright and shined as if it were the sun. His clothes were white like a light. The disciples also seen Moses and Elias, who were former prophets of God on earth, but they were no longer alive. A bright cloud overshadowed the disciples, and a voice said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him." This terrified the disciples, and they were afraid, and then they fell on their face. Jesus touched him and said, "Arise, be not afraid." And once they lifted their eyes, they saw only Jesus. Jesus told the disciples to tell no man of the vision that he just seen until he was risen from the dead. Why would Jesus do that? Jesus' ways are perfect, and he knows exactly what to do and when to do it for his plans to be made perfect. Sometimes we question Jesus' timing, Jesus' ways, and we must remember that his timing is perfect. Even though we might think we know what the right time is to do something, we just have to trust in Jesus, and because his plans are going to be way better than anything that we can ask or think of. And let's see, I've lost my place. Okay, so then the disciples had questions. They asked when the prophet Elias would come and restore all things, and Jesus explained to him that the spirit of Elias has already came and did these things, and they understood this as John the Baptist. Now, if we go to Luke chapter 1, verse 17, it says, "And he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord." This is what the angel said to John the Baptist's father named Zacharias. Matthew chapter 17, Jesus cures an afflicted boy. When a multitude surrounded them, a man kneeled to him saying, "Have mercy on my son." His son had a lot going on with him. The man had brought him to the disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, "O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me." This generation is much the same as the generation as Jesus describes. We live in a faithless and perverse generation. So many people are lost and don't believe in Jesus, looking for anything but him. They are trying to find satisfaction and help, all in the wrong places. The generation is perverse in the ways that they are confused, They have the easiest access to naked and sexual accounts, more so than any other generation. Why? Technology. Men and women have access to OnlyFans, TikTok, where they can just lust after so many people who are willing to put themselves out there for the fame or the money that it brings. Jesus rebukes the devil, and he left the child and was cured. Jesus is sovereign over all things. The devil has no authority when it comes to Jesus. Revelation chapter 20 verse 10 says, "And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever." In the end, the devil will lose. He will get his punishment in time. He knows this, and the demons know this, and they're going to continue to lead people astray. It's a battle for our souls. I will continue to be strong and put my faith in Jesus. The love that he has for us is unimaginable and makes me want to follow him. He is my shepherd. Now, the disciples didn't understand why they couldn't help the boy themselves, because they tried, and Jesus gave them power to do these things, so why couldn't they have done it? And Jesus explains to them to have faith as a mustard seed. Mustard seeds are extremely small. Having a little bit of faith can still move mountains. However, in some cases, we should have prayer and fasting. Next, we're going to talk about Jesus in Galilee. Jesus explains to his disciples again that he's going to be betrayed and killed, and then the third day he will rise again. In Capernaum, some came to Peter and asked if Jesus would pay tribute or tax money, and Peter answered yes. And so Jesus told Peter to go fishing and take the first fish he catches and open its mouth, and he will find a shekel. Jesus said, "Give them the shekel for me and for you." Peter didn't question God. He just did it. Remember, if God is asking you to do something, take the leap of faith and do it. You never know what might be in store for you. It's joyous when we stand out in our faith and do the work that the Lord has for us. It may be hard, difficult, or uncomfortable, but it will be well worth it in the end. So don't question, just do it. And that finishes up our discussion on Matthew chapter 16 and 17. Okay, so what was your star word? If you need a moment, hit pause. Mine is the word leap. I chose the word leap because we all just need to just take a leap of faith when it comes to Jesus. Take a leap of faith and put your trust in him, because he can do the unthinkable. Take a leap and do what God is calling you to do. Take a leap and just do it. No questions asked, just like Peter, the fish, and the coin. What was your star verse? If you need a moment, hit pause. Mine is Matthew chapter 17, verse 20, "And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible to you." I chose this verse because when we take a leap of faith and trust in Jesus, anything is possible. Lay all your burdens at Jesus' feet, because he hears us and he will help us get through those difficult times. Thank you guys for joining me on this study. I hope you guys join me back for Matthew chapter 18 and 19.